All right. Hey, it's RJ. Here with
Hello, everybody. Hey there. We're live.
We're live. This is our first couch report. We are going to wait a couple minutes for people to tune in. In the meantime, we're going to pour ourselves a local beer, which I'll tell you about in a second. So this beer is from this place called Outpost Brewing Company, and it's called Fluffhead Pale Ale, which I thought was pretty exciting. So we're gonna.
My mom, I have to say hi to. I think she might be tuning in. Honestly, first time I can say hi, Mom. And then my wife and my daughter.
Oh man, they're all tuning in.
I think they're tuning in.
That's a supportive family.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey everyone, and if you are tuning in, hello. We're gonna try and keep this brief because we have to actually go see. Yeah, we have to go see fish. We can see you. We can see you out there, live people.
All right.
So I'm going to pour this beer. It's called a Fluffhead Pale Ale, which I think will be delicious. And Tom and I are going to recap night one a little bit, and then we're going to talk about night two, with maybe some banter and stories in between. We're in South Lake Tahoe. The weather's awesome. It's much less hot and humid than yesterday, actually.
Absolutely. Yesterday was a barn burner.
It was.
So anyway, cheers. Welcome to Osiris Live, and welcome to Tahoe.
So I think we're going to give
thanks for the local beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Fluffhead.
People who haven't heard of Outpost, it's right behind the venue. So if you're here and checking it out, go there and have a beer and say hi to the locals. We're going to wait a minute for a couple more people to show up, and then we will kick it off.
Starting in 1 minute.
1 minute. Do you want me to, should I just sing Soul Planet until people get here?
RJ's going to sing Soul Planet for 1 minute until we start. Starting time in 55 seconds.
The ocean is love. That's all. That's all.
All right. For those of you just tuning in, this is Osiris Live. We're starting in about 35 seconds.
Hey, Wally. The beer is delicious. It's not super hoppy.
No,
it's sort of like it's a pretty calm pale ale, but it's good.
This is a pale ale?
Yeah.
And it's called?
Fluffhead.
Fluffhead. And as you see, there is a little fluffhead.
Wally, how are you? It's good to see you on here. I mean, I can't see you, but I can see your name.
All right, we're starting in 10
Hope
seconds.
You're doing well, buddy.
10 seconds.
10 seconds to lift off.
All right. I think we're rolling.
Should we do it?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so welcome to the first edition of the Couch Report, Osiris Live. We're going to break down night one, talk about the Tahoe show a little bit, and talk about night two tonight. We're going to try to keep it brief because we actually have to go to the concert.
We've got to get to the show.
We got to get to the show. It's 5 o'clock here, 8 o'clock Eastern.
We're in an Airbnb kind of near this show. We can walk if we wanted to, 15 minutes. We're probably walking, right?
I think we're walking.
And we're in South Lake Tahoe, and it's pretty nice, and the Airbnb is great.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful night last night. Like totally, today's a little more hazy. It was completely clear, a little hot, and really amazing. Let's go through set one a little bit and get some conversation going, Tom.
Right.
So they wasted no time getting into jams, particularly Trey getting into some of his equipment on the free jam, which in retrospect seemed like a really smart and obvious pick for tour opener, but that's not what I
Free was a good starting. And also, let me say that we had travel issues getting here, all of us. And so I was a little tired. I was kind of a little bit dazed, especially first set. But I recognized a great tour opener. Overall, that was a great tour opener. I love the second set in particular, but Free was cool. The thing I was listening to a lot was Trey really pushing hard and experimenting and trying to fit into jams his new effect that he's working hard with, which is the Mutron envelope filter. And then that, I think, is going into the Leslie rotating speaker. And if you don't look and you're not watching Trey play, you could think that it's Page because that he also has the Leslie rotating speaker effect. But Trey is really like playing it like a solo. And so that's kind of what I've been watching for ever since really hearing him go hard on it on his Central Park show. The Tab show that I just saw, that was all over all those songs, and it was great, and I like it. So watch for that.
Yeah, and Trey'sGuitarRig.com, Ryan, has been faithfully documenting every iteration of Trey's rig. So if you have questions, I don't even know what most of those things that Tom said mean. So if you want information about that, check out Trey's guitar rig. Slow was Possum, which I thought was incredible. Not my favorite song, and I think people think I'm an idiot because of that, and that's fine.
Why surprising?
Just because it feels like a late first set. Get locked in.
I did feel that they weren't locking in 100% in the first 4 songs.
Yeah.
So the third being MoMA Dance, and that was again, moments of brilliance, moments of real wondering who's leading the jam and if there was a jam.
Yeah. Well, in our interview with Trey we did for Under the Scales, you mentioned specific there's dozen.
One of my
really was pushing these jams out a little bit.
Mentioned Paige, talking about Paige on Under the Scales, a recent interview with Trey, specifically gave us a lot of keyboard rigs.
Yeah.
So Trey's new effects.
From Philly, called Fawz, F-A-W-Z Music. And I think the bass player was tuning on because I don't like Possum.
But, Fawz.
And thanks Patrick and Adam for commenting. And it was a 7-song first set, which is not probably what you expect to see that few songs.
Right.
There's so many long songs.
There are a lot of long ones. Ghost at 16 minutes was not even the longest of the night.
No.
But Ghost was good. Again, to me, a little bit meandering.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought most of the beginners jams, they said sort of searching for something, and kind of it felt to me like Trey was kind of trying different things. It might have been the gear or the fact that they haven't played together.
That's right.
And they've all been doing side projects, including Trey doing 2 different tab iterations and all that. So
and they found it. They found what they were looking for with the next song, Funky Bitch. And Trey really stood up, and that sound he had is incredible. Just a beautiful, soothing American guitar.
Yeah. And Mike's vocals seemed more like he was singing and less like he was yelling than usual. I don't know if that's like part of Mike just being more attuned than he used to be.
Singing it more than kind of screaming it?
Yeah.
Sort of? Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
I heard his voice more.
I agree with that.
But yeah, it was a good version. And then they went into Stash, which I think is always a tuning song for a tour opener, because
Stash is your tour opener go-to?
I think it is, even though I didn't pick it in the Lure Social thing, even though I should have, but luresocial.com. Because it's structured and it allows them to get into a groove together, but it also allows for some improv. But I thought that was a good solid set closer, Character Zero, when I almost fell over the balcony, but
that was a rocker. You got really karate chop dancing going. And I got no karate chop dancing going, but
you got to see some karate chop dancing.
I got to see that. So I ought to see that.
Yeah.
Character Zero was a great set closer. It was energy going across set break. We got a hint something's happening, and sure feel carried on.
Oh yeah, it was great. And during the set break, remember how it was just getting dark, so the lights were they were testing out the lights during set break, which I had never seen before.
Yeah, I don't think you see that often.
Yeah, I think just because it was just getting dark. So people were ready, and then open up the second set with No Man. And when they started playing that, I think we were talking, and you had some thoughts about that song, mostly because you wrote it, and because you had thoughts about sort of the time you wrote it and some other stuff.
But important note, we weren't talking during the show.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Because I did notice there were some talkers.
There were some talkers, and we should talk about that in a minute, the West Coast Five. But yeah.
Well, so we're doing our talking before the show. Don't talk during the show.
Don't talk during the show.
But I've been accused of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's directly in proportion with how many fluff heads I drank. Local brew. Thank you for providing it for us. So No Men, yeah, exactly. I wrote 2015 February with Trey at the Outer Banks of North Carolina at Kitty Hawk. And it was the same session that yielded Blaze On, Mercury, and Shade were the 4, I think, from that session. I think we wrote maybe 10 songs that made it into Fish songhood. And It was a great one. It was sort of like Trey had this cool drum beat. He played it himself. Sometimes he'll bring in beats, and then sometimes he just sits down on the drums and says, I got this cool drum idea. And he just played this one, and it was fantastic. And I had my kind of heart, because we very carefully crafted the song Shade. And after like one of those like difficult piecing together the lyrics with the music songs, our next one was Blaze On, and that was kind of like a breath of air. It was like a relief. And so sometimes those songs are the best, the ones you're not kind of expecting that just get given to you as a songwriter. And everyone who's an artist of any kind knows exactly what I'm talking about. But so I had my money on that being the big one, and also like it could be a marijuana anthem, Blaze On, everything. So, but Trey the whole time was saying, nope, it's going to be No Men. It's going to be No Men. And he was right. It's like he always sort of has a good feel for, what's going to be the dancer, the one that gets the crowd going. And I mean, both Blaze On and No Men are popular, but he chose the one that I believe is sort of more popular of the two.
Yeah, it's definitely like Blaze On has had some great long jams, but No Man is almost always delivers. And this one had a really good this is the longest jam of the night, I think, by 17 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, No Men barely squeaked by Ghost.
Yeah. Yep. And into Carini, which I think we all thought that the Carini sort of didn't go a lot. It was short-ish. It wasn't like some of the longer, most epic Carinis, when there's 20, 25 minutes or something. There weren't a lot of those. It was a lot of kind of hopping around, but landing in some blissful sort of jams. Slave came next, which was a nice mid-second set Slave, which I think is sort of rare again with song placement.
That's rare?
I think so. I don't know. I think someone said something about that. And then Bouncing
around the room.
And then Soul Planet.
So yeah, Soul Planet was good. Right as it was kind of happening, that was sort of when I was running out of energy a little bit. And Soul Planet, like I sort of sunk into a chair, but I was liking it.
And I think like to me, Soul Planet, I think a lot of people share this view that Soul Planet is going to be like the song that gives Fish a little bit of fresh perspective in 2018, like
kind of the new song of the tour.
Yeah, Blaze On and No Men in 2015, I think, were like huge jam vehicles and allowed them to explore more.
Kind of like More and Everything Right.
Yeah,
Everything's Right.
Like the Everything's Right from 2016 or 2017, sorry, from the Baker's Dozen was a really nice big jam. So I feel like maybe that's just for Trey, maybe it's for the whole band. It feels like the new songs, they latch onto one and kind of explore. That was the most exploratory jam of the night, I think.
Really? Soul Planet?
I think so,
You gave that most exploratory?
Yeah, it got into a lot of new effects, and it went in a couple different places. It didn't end up in like the Bliss jam, which is sort of the kind of the default.
The way it ends? Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yep. So what got me out of my chair was the next song, and that's Steam, always a personal favorite. I loved it.
My friend Patrick, who's watching, he doesn't love Steam, but I told him that,
You have to love it. Sorry, Patrick.
And this one it wasn't particularly like a huge jam. It was just like it does get the crowd going.
I think so. I think it's another one that's sort of energetic, and I like the little visual effects here and there. But also, I'm telling myself the story. Other people might not be, but no, I love Steam and I love the groove.
And then the set closer, Harry Hood, I think to me, it was such a great, thoughtful, patient Harry Hood. And a lot of times these days when they play Hood, it seems like it's sort of an afterthought, or it's like at the end of a set and it seems a little rushed. It was long, it was a little bit slow, which people might not like, but I thought it was really, really beautiful.
Yep.
By that time, we all had ran out of steam.
We were almost completely out of steam
by the end of Hood. But we heard the Contact into Julius, which was, again, they didn't just, kind of write off the encore with a short song. That was like, I think that was a good encore.
So set opener tonight.
Oh man, I'm gonna say Runaway Jim just because that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, outdoor shows in the summer, I always need to hear Punch You in the Eye, and I kind of like them as the opener.
Yeah.
I mean, when they appear later, they're still great, but I would prefer like Punch You in the Eye, and then a little bit later in that set, a Yamar.
Okay.
Something about the outdoors, those two seem so
Yamar is a
festival-ish.
great outdoor jam.
And then I, of course, like Lizards too for the dancing part. That's when you'll see me karate dance.
Yeah.
But that's called a lizard dance.
Lizard dance.
Yeah.
So just before we sign off, I think, Tom, some fans might think that when you go to shows, and this is something I've learned over time, but some people might think that you come to shows and you go straight backstage and you hang out and everyone's like hanging out, having fun without all the, non-backstage people. But I've learned that that's not actually at all how the scene is these days. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, so the backstage is where everyone wants to go for some reason, right? Because that's where you get to chill with the band and hang out with all the cool people. And we just talked about this on my interview with Brad Sands, the former manager up to 2004 of Phish. And prior to 2004, which was the second hiatus, there was this thing backstage called the Betty Ford Clinic, which
not super sensitive.
It wasn't. No, it was not politically correct naming of a place where people go to drink and meet their friends and meet friends of the band and meet the band. And the point of bringing that up is that back there you could go, and if the band could see it in their schedule to come and visit their friends there, that was great. But if they didn't, you were kind of cordoned off and didn't really have to go and interfere with the machinery backstage. And so now that's gone. And so if I do go back, and I'm allowed to, but I'm kind of the only guy, you're out of place. I'm out of place. There's no one else chilling and partying, and I'm the only guy not working. Everyone back there has a job or 5 jobs, and they're thinking about 3 shows ahead, and they're working hard, and they have 10 projects they have to do, especially for tonight, but also they're looking ahead and doing other stuff. And Trey and the band are often involved in those projects. Yeah. So if I walk back there like, hey, Trey, it's like he's so nice that he'll take time out of whatever he's doing.
But that throws him off for other people.
Yeah, and they're working hard. There's like 6 people that are just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, Trey's off, talking with Tom. And then, boom, I leave, and then they can start their thing again. But then the concert's delayed 6 minutes.
Right. Nobody likes an 8:14 concert start. No, but it's like walking back into like a kitchen, maybe while like chefs are all cooking.
Oh yeah,
like,
you go, hey man, high five.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's hang out.
So there's no hangout really. There's no hang. So I go back only if explicitly invited, and that happens. And Trey's extremely nice. The whole band very nice, but really discouraged the party atmosphere back there. Yeah. And to me, with good results.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our commenters said that Punching the Eye opened 19 years ago today at Oswego, and Runaway Jim opened set 2. So maybe they'll, I don't know if they're looking at set lists, but that would be cool.
All right.
That would be a good set 1, set 2 opener.
Let's hope for that. And let's not forget 2013, the famous Tahoe Tweezer happened here. I was here. I was here for it. So I'm hoping for some magic too.
Did you feel like you were part of a historic show at that time, or was it like you were just having fun and later it dawned on you that it was different?
That's a good question. You know me, I'm not really that great a set list re-listener to old shows. If I do re-listen to stuff, it's because I'm walking, like exercising, and it comes on randomly, and I won't necessarily know what show it's from. But Tahoe Tweezer I've listened to hundreds of times just because I've had to. Like everyone tells me that it's the best thing ever. So I know that one. But in that first set, I do remember that almost every single song was one of mine. And so I was particularly amped. Yeah. And they did, like Chalk Dust, Sparkle, Back on the Train, It's Ice, Brian and Robert, Kill Devil Falls, Lawn Boy, Ocelot, Stash, all Tommy songs.
Yeah, and you love Brian and Robert too, right?
I do.
It's not that often that they play it.
And placed correctly, I really love it if the audience gives it respect as well. Because sometimes if it seems like it's like all of a sudden the brakes are put on a great jam, it's not that well received. That night I remember it was good. Everything was really cool. And then, I was excited going into the set closer, and then they opened with that amazing tweezer. And everyone around, 5 minutes into that knew something amazing was happening.
So maybe that's because people were quiet and respectful during Brian and Robert that they played that Tahoe tweezer. So don't talk during the show. Don't be an asshole. Don't leave your balloons on the ground. Like, put your fucking balloons in a trash can. I mean, it's not that hard. They're going to do balloons, which is stupid anyway.
We saw some complaints about that, right?
Yeah. And Phish tweeted, which they don't usually do.
Was it specifically about balloons or just trash in general?
I saw a couple pictures of balloons being distributed all over the street. But, if you're going to take the time to buy balloons and do balloons, which you shouldn't because it kills brain cells, unlike this fluff head pale ale, just throw them in the fucking trash.
Good call.
All right, so we got to get to this concert. So we'll be back. We're going to be back in a couple days.
Yeah,
talking about the gorge.
We're going to be doing Couch Report. That's what this is, Osiris Couch Report. We're going to be doing it before and during the second night of the gorge show.
This Saturday.
So tune in then, and until then, see you later.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cool. That was good. 20 minutes. We got 64 playbacks, which is good. So that means